Good morning. I wanted to say a few things about our forthcoming annual parochial church meetings. The meeting at St Mary's is on Sunday the 25th of April and the meeting at St Peter's is on the 9th of May, also a Sunday. And both of those will take place within our morning services to comply with COVID regulations. Now, many people in our community, both within our congregation and further afield, have expressed appreciation at the way we've been able to keep our churches open during these past difficult months, and that really has rested on the ability of us to work as a team between our ministry team, our PCC members and our church wardens. And our annual meetings matter because that's where we elect our PCC members and our church wardens, and without those people we very simply just can't keep our churches open. So that's the bedrock of us continuing to do what we've been able to do so far. That's why it matters so much. Now, I often remind people that church wardens are bishops' officers. You can have a parish without a vicar, in fact many do. You can have a parish without a PCC secretary or treasurer. It's not easy, but you can do it. But you can't have a parish without church wardens. They are the bedrock of the Church of England. So that's why those appointments really are so important. And I'm very thankful to our current church wardens, to Anne Hall and to John Scott and to Peter Haywood and to John Duthie, who have served us since our last annual parochial church meetings. Now, some of those are coming to the end of the time they cannot stand for re-election again. Some hopefully can stand for re-election, but not all. So we will need to find new church wardens this time round. Now, you can have a parish without a vicar or PCC treasurer or secretary. It's not to say those people aren't important. Of course, they are. So the election of PCC officers matters just as much. And this past year has created challenges for our PCCs, the likes of which we've never seen before. No one in the Church of England has ever been through a pandemic like we've seen at this time. Even during times of war, churches have never been closed as we've been closed this time. Sometimes the rules have changed many times within a single week, and that's been difficult. Sometimes there's been things which have taken hours of work and preparation, like, for example, the furlough scheme or the job support scheme. Times when the government sometimes changed tack at the very last minute. Not saying that was wrong, it had to happen, but it did present real problems for those people in our churches who'd worked so hard to make all the preparations and then literally overnight had to redo it all over again. So I want to say a massive thank you to those in our PCCs who have worked so courageously and with such skill to steer us through these difficult waters. Our annual meetings are when we hold ourselves to account, how we manage our resources, how we fulfil our responsibilities as parish churches, because we are here to proclaim God's presence within these communities, and that's the commission of our shared baptism. And it's one which, of course, we try to fulfil to our very best ability. Now, reports aren't always the most exciting things in the world, but because we are a people travelling together, reports matter very much, because it's how we tell each other what we're doing. It's how we record the important things. And this year, we face particular challenges how we meet. We've made arrangements for those reports to be published on our websites. There will be paper copies available at the back of church, and if anybody wants them emailed or posted, then please ask and we will do so. And if anybody has any questions, we're going to ask, please, can you send those questions by email or by post in advance, and we will make sure that you get a full answer. So at our meetings, those reports are going to be taken as read. They're not going to be presented at the meetings themselves, and that will help keep things simpler and shorter. And hopefully at our meetings, if we've got the right number of nominations, we will be able to proceed to make the appointment of church wardens and PCC members with simplicity and with as much brevity as we can, so it can happen properly within a morning service. So I'm hoping we can come to those meetings carefully and prayerfully prepared. So please do give consideration to those reports, to those elections, to those appointments of church wardens and PCC members. Now, a word about attending those meetings, because obviously our churches are still subject to COVID restrictions in terms of seating. Not all of our electoral roll members could possibly fit into either of our churches on those days, but given past attendance, we don't think that would ever be a problem anyway. We believe we have the capacity to accommodate all those who are likely to want to attend. Please do remember, we're still using a booking system to make sure we keep everybody safe and people know when they set out that they have a place available in church. And we believe that holding those meetings within the morning service is the fairest and it's the safest way to do this. Now, we're not actually allowed to hold the meetings online solely, and having asked round, I don't think many folk would want to do that anyway. So we are doing the very best that we can. Now, the year ahead, we're going to face a great many challenges. There's many aspects of our church which have changed, and we don't yet know how they will restart, or even if all of them ever will restart. We're going to have to take things one step at a time. And I think there's three questions we need to ask for each thing we come to. First of all, we need to say, why are we doing this? The second thing we need to say, have we got the proper resources to do this? And the third thing we need to say, is this sustainable in the long term? There's some things we do know. We know that some people during this period have lost confidence. We know some people who carried out roles in the past are seriously considering whether or not they can take up those roles again. And it's quite possible some people may actually never come back. We know our finances, for example, have been very difficult during our COVID period. I'm very grateful to those members of our churches who've either continued or have started to offer their weekly giving by bank transfer during this COVID period, because that's been an absolute lifeline to us. The cost of running our churches, of sustaining our ministry, has diminished slightly, but not by very much. Overall, the cost of running these buildings and maintaining what we do has remained pretty much the same. But our giving has gone down. Many of our members tend to give when they attend, and many of our members have not been attending. So over this period, we have seen a shortfall between both our churches of some £36,000. Now, you don't need me to tell you that cannot carry on for much longer. It isn't sustainable. COVID has presented challenges. I think in some ways it's also presented opportunities. I have been saying for some time that there are nettles we need to grasp. In fact, in February 2020, our PCCs looked at the fact that our finances needed some talking about, and we were just beginning to get to grips with that when, of course, we were locked down and PCC meetings were suspended. There are things in the Church of England I think we would have to face up to within the next 5 to 10 years, which I think we're now going to have to face up to within the next 18 months. So these will be challenging times. There are also times of opportunity, because we are going to have to get to grips with things we really do need to get to grips with. So please make prayerful preparation for our annual parochial meetings. They are important, they do matter, they are about our life together, and without them we simply actually can't do what we do. We need PCC members and we need church wardens simply to keep our churches open. So please prepare if you can, as best you can. When this pandemic began, you may remember I said, when this is over, we will not simply pick up where we left off. Too much will have changed. There needs to be, as they say, a new normal. And this feels like a wilderness journey, because we're walking a way we've never walked before. That can be hard, but if we remember, it is in the wilderness that God always makes new beginning. It is in the barren places where the still, small voice is heard to speak. God makes new starts where there is emptiness. And that's never comfortable. It never has been, it never will be. But it is how God works, and that is where we're at this time. So maybe we come to this time with a sense of anxiety and some worry, but also let us come to this time with a sense of hope and of expectation that we are walking in the fellowship of God and of the saints and of a whole host of other Christians around us. This is a shared journey. So these times ahead will be challenging, but it's a journey of hope. This is the time when we shape a new beginning. And I suspect that when the history of our time is written, what we do now will see to be of great significance in shaping a world which is probably different from the world you and I grew up with and have known for a long time. Much we've taken for granted will have gone. But that's why what we do now matters. and that's why our annual meetings matter this year, perhaps more than any year previously. So I commend them to you, and I ask for your prayer and your support at this time. Thank you.